Hi, this is Mike from Mike's Unboxing Reviews and How To, and today we're going to take a look at a new upgraded lighting kit from ESDDI. Keep watching to find out more. Okay, so in today's video we're going to take a look at a upgraded softbox lighting kit for photography, videos and all that kind of imagery stuff from ESDDI. Now if you've seen a previous video, which will be linked up over here, you can see what the softbox lighting kit is actually like. So the upgraded model with this actually has roughly about 10% brighter bulbs, and they use around about 50% less electricity. They're based on LED now rather than being CFL, and also they're a little bit smaller. So if you're finding softbox lights to be a little bit cumbersome and a little bit big for your liking, then these are slightly smaller, so should fit in with pretty much most designs and setups. So let's take them out of the box, see what we get. Okay, so in the kit, what do we get? So first of all, we get a hello from ESDDI, so contact details, all that kind of stuff. We get a user manual, and we also get a lucky gift. Happy days. So in here, lucky gift says, congratulations, you've been chosen as one of ESDDI's 10,000 lucky customers. Now obviously, not everyone's going to get this. This is a totally random thing, so you may or may not get this. But you get the option for a tripod, an octopus tripod, a weird hand or a magic arm, or also a microphone. So look out for that in your box. If you place an order, you might be lucky. So the main components of this is essentially two soft boxes. So we've got two identical kits, and this is the components of it we've got laid out on the desk at the moment. So we've got our bulb, we've got our tripod, and we've got our reflector and the electronics. So first of all, let's go through and look at the tripod. Now the tripod is adjustable from around about 20 inches up to about 75 inches. So if you want to put it on a desk or something, you can do that. So if you want it straight up in front for those kind of beauty shots, or maybe you just want to use it as fill or key lights in different areas of the room, then you can do that. Now that is actually what I've done in our kind of little studio setup. So I've got a set of these already, the previous version, the 800 watt version. I've got one light over there facing towards me. I've got one light over there facing towards the side. And I've got some other little lamps as well to make up the rest, but those two do the bulk of the work. So the tripod itself is pretty much the same as the previous edition, although it does seem a little bit lighter and actually seems to be a little bit sturdier immediately when it comes out of the box. So this is a very simple setup. It's a simple tripod, and you've got the turn screws, so you can adjust the tripod as necessary, tighten up the screw, and there essentially is your tripod ready to go. So again, for the top section, we've got the turn adjusters, so you can adjust that to whichever length is suitable. And as you can see, or you probably can't from there, because I don't think it's actually wider than the camera lens will go, but we've got a pretty good height there. So if I put it down to the side, so we've got a pretty good extension on there, and I would say that is just over about 6.5 foot. So yeah, about 75 inches, I believe it is the official measurement. And on the top, which you may or may not be able to see in the camera, there is actually a plastic cap on there. So if you're using it with the actual lamps themselves, you'd leave that on. Or alternatively, there's a screw mount on there, so you can actually use these for other things, such as attaching cameras or those kinds of things. Anything with a 1/4 inch thread you can attach on there, so you don't have to use it purely as a softbox kit. It's got a little bit of flexibility. So that's the tripod. Obviously, two of those in the kit. So next of all, let's have a look at the reflector. So the reflectors themselves come in these nice Velcro zip bags. And actually these do feel a little bit better quality than the previous ones, so thumbs up for that. So inside this bag we get our diffuser. So you get a thin mesh diffuser, and this has got a surround around it and some Velcro to attach it to the actual reflector itself. Now some people prefer not to use these at all and just use the light as it is in its default state, but I generally tend to use these pretty much all the time. Now the good thing about these is because they are just a material, if for some reason they get dirty or damaged or whatever, then you can just stick them in the wash and wash them and they come out just like new. So we get two of those actually in the packaging. And next is the reflector. Now again, the reflector, this actually does feel immediately already a little bit thicker quality than the previous version, which is really nice to see. Although saying that, I've been using my previous set now for probably the best part of 2 years, and they've been pretty much there in use every day of the year so far. So we've been using them for 2 years, no problems whatsoever. They folded up and essentially it's like an umbrella kind of setup. So once it's folded down, it's fine. And inside there is a metal ring, as you can see in the bottom there. And from the metal ring comes all these bars, and literally just push it into position. And the reflector then clicks into place and that remains solid. Now again, this is a slightly smaller reflector than the previous model. So this is 20 by 20 inches. The previous one I think was 20 by 50 or 20 by 30, no, 20 by 30, sorry, yeah, that was ridiculous. So those are rectangle shaped, whereas these tend to be square. Now again, got a similar design, so you've got the reflective kind of stone pattern on the inside to get a nice diffused light. But yeah, it feels actually really good, very good quality, no complaints there whatsoever. So looking at the actual attachment itself, so we've got this, again, the thumb screws everywhere, so you can adjust that to suit, so you can actually angle the head either down, up, straight to the ceiling. So if you want to use it to bounce light, then you can do that. So you've got lots of movement there. Also, when this attaches to the head itself, that will then allow you to swivel it as well. So if you've got the tripod mounted somewhere where you can't actually move the tripod very much, you've still got loads of adjustment actually on the head itself. So the next thing to do is to look at the actual bulbs themselves. Now this is the kind of the main part of the upgrade, although we've seen some pretty decent upgrades in the specification already, but the bulb itself is where the biggest difference is. So previously we had a massive bulb, which was the CFL, which essentially is like a fluorescent tube which kind of twists round. Now if you're using this in a kind of more portable setup, moving it around, you do have to be quite careful with the bulbs. They were quite fragile. They can smash quite easily, like fluorescent tubes have a tendency to. They're not that safe and secure, so you do have to be very careful with them. But with these, you've got a solid plastic top, you've got a lot of metal around here, and now the metal actually acts as a cooling agent as well. So this is like a heat sink for the lamp itself, so this will take heat away from the actual LEDs themselves and dissipate them around. So again, this is going to keep the lamps nice and cool, and actually hopefully it should actually make the lamps last a little bit longer, because obviously heat is bad for most electrical components. So if you can get the heat away as quickly as possible, you're going to get better life out of your component. Now the actual connection itself is the ES or Edison screw, or the E27 as it's known in some places. Now one thing I will say is, if you're one of the people who kind of sets this up, then takes it all apart and then packs it up in your bag, do be careful. Obviously this heatsink will get quite warm in use, so don't touch the bulb straight after use. So looking around at the front of the bulb, so we've got this nice round pattern, again, nice and safe and secure. It's going to be quite difficult to actually damage the LEDs on there. They're hidden well behind there, so you're not going to accidentally touch them or damage them. Also, this bulb running around about 5500K, so effectively it's a daylight bulb. You've got a colour rendering index of about 85%, which actually is pretty good for an LED. Most LEDs tend to end up around about the 75 to 85% mark, so that is pretty good. The CFL bulbs, from what I can remember, were around about 90% of the rendering index, or colour rendering index, and what that basically means is how well the light can actually represent accurate colours on camera. So ideally, in a perfect world, you want 100% CRI, but that would cost you a lot of money. Now talking of cost, this actually, not only is it upgraded, you actually get a little bit back as well. The previous set was around about £60 in the UK, whereas the new upgraded set, you get 10% brighter bulbs, 50% less energy, but you actually pay less as well. So these are currently on offer in the UK for about £45, which for two softbox lights is actually pretty good value. So you're looking realistically about £22, £23 per softbox. So if you're doing maybe a setup where you've got four lights for less than £100 is actually really, really good value for money. So all this talking about good value for money and upgraded kits is all well and good, but without actually seeing it in action, you don't really know what you're getting. So I'm going to get these all put together now, and then we'll do some quick camera shots, and we'll do some tests to see before and after to see what the colour indexing is actually like. So this at the moment is the light setup with the original 800 watt set, and now we're going to put the 900 watt set on and see what the difference is like. Okay, so there we go. We've now got the new improved 900 watt bulbs in, and they are actually extremely bright. First thing I noticed as soon as we turn them on is, yes, they are much brighter, noticeably brighter. Even though it's only kind of 100 watts or 50 watts between the two bulbs, there is a massive amount of difference with the brightness, and you can probably tell from the frame. Now, I haven't changed anything on the camera. I've literally set it to auto ISO to try and balance out itself. So hopefully between the two shots, and I'll maybe put some footage previously just next to me so you can see the difference between them. But yeah, there is certainly a difference in the brightness. And I've got this lamp here is actually quite a bit closer to me. So there is a bit of a kind of hot spot on this side of my face at the moment. That is purely because the lamp is actually probably just more than an arm stretch away from me, just slightly out of the shot of the frame of the camera. So normally in my setup, that would be about another 6 foot back. So obviously do take that into consideration. But certainly much smaller actually, the smaller square design of the softbox itself actually looks to be a little bit more manageable. So it's going to be quite nice to actually regain some space on top of my cupboards where the actual lamps are at the moment, which possibly some of you are regular viewers to the channel would have seen in previous videos. But yeah, actually I'm very impressed. The stands themselves seem much more sturdy. I've got a feeling that the actual tripod legs themselves are actually a little bit longer, so that gives the base a much more stable and secure setup, which I'm liking a lot. The one thing I would say, which actually is a downside, which you may want to consider before you make a purchase, and that is the actual length of the cable on the softbox itself. Now, ours came with UK power plugs fitted straight away. Now, obviously, depending where you are and where you order these from, you will get the appropriate plug for your particular region. But the cable itself is actually really, really short. So the cable, I would say, is about, well, not much more than the actual height of the full extension of the tripod. So about 2 meters in length, which is about 6 to 7 foot in around that sort of range. So ideally, you're going to want another extension from each lamp to actually connect them to a power source, which could be a problem for some. What I plan on doing is what I did with my previous lot, and that is to put a break in the cable and put a home automation switch in there, so I can use Google to control my lights to turn them on and off, just to save me reaching behind the cupboard to get the switch. But the actual switch itself on there, there's no reason why you should change it. It's actually a good quality switch, it works well. But the cable length is definitely a potential problem. But again, that was a similar situation with the original set. They had a 2 meter length on them as well. So no real difference there. So we've not actually downgraded in a sense between the two products, but it's certainly something you should possibly look into. So anyway, what do you think of the actual lighting setup? I actually think it looks quite nice. The color temperature is bang on for filming, and with the right settings on your camera, automatic white balance and all that kind of stuff, you should be able to get some fantastic results. So this has been the ESDDI 900 watt upgrade softbox kit. I've been Mike, this is Mike's Unboxing Reviews and How To, and hopefully we'll catch you in the very next video. Thanks for watching.